Welcome to Beyond the Gun. We have a very special program today, and I'm very proud to say that when this idea and this program started, I was a part of the initial creating process. And I am delighted to have people from the Ma'afa Redemption Project, and we're going to talk about what that is in just a moment. I'm Lewis Myers, and this again is Beyond the Gun. Today, Brother Dwight McKee, Brother Robert Douglas, right? And the Reverend Marshall Hacht Jr. The three key people today who are going to talk about what the Ma'afa Redemption Project is, how it got started, what's the mission and the purpose, because our community needs to know about the wonderful work on the west side of Chicago that you're doing. I'm so proud of each of you. I want to thank you. But it's in the heart of the west side, East Garfield Park, Austin, where all of the violence is. You all are taking the initiative to make a difference. And so today, we'll start with Brother Reverend Marshall Hacht Jr. to talk about what is the Ma'afa Redemption Project, what's your purpose, and let people know where you're located and what you're doing.
So the Ma'afa Redemption Project is actually in West Garfield Park, 18,000 residents. It has the lowest life expectancy, second in homicides, and so it's in very dire straits. And New Mount Pilgrim Church, we've been there since 1993.
I think I know a little bit about that.
Yeah,
the church.
Pastor Marshall. You're a deacon there. No, but we've been there since 1993, and the overall mission, of course, has been to invest in the community. And this project is an extension of that ministry. And so it was created actually a few months ago. The mission statement is such: we are the men of the Ma'afa Redemption Project. We recognize that we cannot redeem our families and our communities until we first redeem ourselves. Therefore, our mission is to invest in the mind, the body, and the spirit so that we may rebuild and repair our city one life at a time. And so our goal flows out of that mission. So we're investing in 12 young men ages 18 to 24, most of which are from West Garfield Park. It's a workforce, social, and spiritual development program. So on the workforce part, they're basically apprentices. They work with a general contractor by the name of Danny Carter, CNC Construction. They're currently rehabbing a 3-unit and an old church that we're going to make into a community arts center. It's going to be the arts hub of West
So you
Garfield
got 12 African-American young men from the community. Some of them are ex-offenders, some are not.
Some.
But they'll be working for 6 months. You told me
That is
that.
correct, 6
Go ahead.
months, yes. And so, again, the overall goal of the project is to reorient these young men, to feed them with positivity. So every morning we do meditations for about an hour.
And they're staying on site, is that right?
They're staying on site. They stay in a 2-unit that the church owns. And the 3-unit that they work on is less than 100 feet. And so they literally
So they're
get
working
up.
on a full-time, day-to-day
Yes.
project,
Yes.
which is right next to where they sleep
Yes.
and eat every day.
Yep, and we're going on our 9th week. It's been pretty tough, honestly. But we're going strong. We have God on our side.
Well, and that's why I'm glad that you're here. We're going to come back to you, Dwight, and then we'll go to Brother Douglas. I mean, I know that you and I have been talking about this for years, and I want to compliment you and congratulate you for working to bring this, along with the church, New Mount Pilgrim Church and Reverend Marshall Hacht, bring this into existence. What's your vision and what do you see? I know you spend a lot of time talking about violence in Chicago and the development of our young folk. Tell us what your heart is, or where your heart is right now as you are involved in this project.
Well, my role is I'm the dean, and my role is to teach the kids what I call the rules and the tools. And what we do is really give them some life, both a sense of life purpose, but a sense of life perspective, to show them, one, why they are in the situation they're in. So we really started out talking about the criminal justice system and how we fed into that, how we are fed into that, so they understand what's been done to them. Then we're giving them strategies for day-to-day living, teaching them economy.
These are young men who are on site And on a day-to-day level, they'll be there. They have been there, and they will be there for another 6 months.
And every day we deal with a different part of life. We have a meditation. Our major goal is for many of them is to lead them to a spiritual understanding. We introduce them to the Bible. We do things out of that are directly associated with the church. Really trying to give them a spiritual foundation, and then build upon that, teach them family responsibility, personal responsibility, giving them the skills to be able to work, and then making job availability, giving them a sense of who they can be, which is a lot different than how they've been seen, who they've been told that they're supposed to be.
That's right.
It's kind of opening up their thinking and their universe.
Brother Douglas,
Yes.
you've been doing this a long time. You and I have crossed paths for a number of years in multiple organizations. I'm so very delighted that you've taken the time and the energy to put into this program. And this is a sincere compliment. Give us your feedback on your work and what you're doing over there now.
Well, I want to thank you for such kind words and having me on the show with you today. I'm just so blessed to be in the middle of such great minds and in the future. So my work has been, you name it, community organizing, engagement, reform throughout the city of Chicago. But the best part of it is right here in West Garfield Park with New Mount Pilgrim and the Martha.
What got you involved? I mean, what brought you over?
It's a wild story. The house dean is an incredible man of God that said, "Brother Douglas, can you come and help with what's going on?" I said, they have the tools. The tool is Jesus Christ. And if the institutions allow us to do what Jesus told us to do, and that's go make disciples,
So you're
everything
just
else
saying
works.
what Reverend Hacht was saying and Dewight McKee was saying. At the root of this is a spiritual base. And I think that we have to emphasize that today too. Because when I do these programs and I talk to people in non-for-profits, very rarely does the God element come out.
Yeah.
Very rarely, do people have courage to speak of the root in this potential of Jesus, and this is important. So this is a program that's organized around a spiritual Christian base to help African American young men who have some dilemmas, some problems, some backgrounds, but in the need to get some guidance and formation.
To realize their purpose.
To realize their purpose.
Yeah. And so my role here at the Martha Redemption Project is the life coach / workforce development coordinator / education coordinator.
Tell us what you do as a life coach.
Well, just to make sure that their daily needs are met, right? They have the right attitude heading out the door after meditation or in the morning, to make sure that their life coaches are all working together to make sure that their personal goals are met on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. We have currently 6 individuals enrolled at Chicago State University. We have 4 individuals going to get their GEDs this year, and 3 young brothers looking to get into the trades.
Reverend Hacht, being a young man, and I think the public should know, he's a graduate of Bates College, right? One of the premier, I call it a little Ivy League school in America. And I want to announce on the program, since we're talking about spirituality, Brother White, he just received his master's degree in divinity from the University of Chicago. So let me take the formal opportunity to congratulate you, because that's a tremendous achievement. And tell me now, on a day-to-day level, what are you doing with these young men? I mean, what are they doing? What are you trying to get them to do? Give us a little more background about it.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, so on the programmatic side, after work, every Monday, there's a financial literacy course for an hour. So we have two guys, one of which who used to work for the First Bank of Oak Park, a guy by the name of Eric Soderberg. He has done these business boot camps all over the city, so we kind of reeled him in. He's also a member of the church to do financial literacy. So not only are we paying the guys, we're showing the guys how to build wealth, how to invest their money, how to save. That's the goal on that front. Every Thursday from 3 to 4, that's when the doc, Dewight McKee, does his academic enrichment class. And again, that focuses on history, social development. So
we're going to have to wind down just for a moment.
Sure.
We're going to take a brief break because what you're saying is important. We're going to come back. Beyond the Gun.
They say if you truly want to know yourself, look at your 5 closest friends, because you're a reflection of the people you spend most of your time with. Whether you like it or not, like them or not, friends can do 2 things: either push us forward or pull us back. Because you see, as a young basketball player, I never really felt the need to learn how to jump until all of my friends started to dunk. And as a young student, I only really started to get in trouble in class when all of my friends started to flunk. Think about it. When you got your results, who were the first people you asked? So how did you do in English, maths and art? And you know that we always assumed our grades were okay, as long as we got more A's than our mates. But when it came to getting into college, did all of you guys get accepted into the same place? You see, that's why I say it's important to have friends with benefits. Because if they don't add to your life, then they subtract from it. And if they don't do nothing at all, that's just as bad, because breaking even isn't an exact profit. Listen, as humans, we look at our surroundings and learn to adapt to it. So if you surround yourself with bums, what do you expect will be the outcome? You end up full of shit, because life is too short to live for other people's ideas, and that's the harsh reality. And whenever I use the term friend, I add air quotes. Because apparently I have 30,000 friends on Facebook, 200,000 on YouTube, 33,000 on Twitter, but when things hit the fan, all they ever did was like my picture. So wait, am I implying, contrary to popular belief, that you should only be friends with people that can help you? Yes, I am. People that respect your identity and decisions you choose to make indefinitely. People that can help you grow, because true friends are people that benefit you emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and regularly. Not a friend that calls you no fun. Just because you believe to enjoy yourself, you don't always need to get drunk. Not one that has sex and laughs at your virginity because you believe in integrity. Not a friend that smokes, that makes you the butt of the joke when you're opposed to conforming, although they know you're an athlete and understand how it affects your performance. Not a friend that puts you down 9 out of 10 times whenever you're in a crowd, but then becomes your best buddy when no one else is around. That's not a true friend. But at the same time, remember, one hand washes the other before they can both wash the face. So before you can expect good friends, you have to learn to be one yourself. And that involves having morals that you stand by and stick to. Because as Malcolm X said, a man that stands for nothing will fall for anything. So there's nothing wrong with having friends with benefits. So ultimately, both of you can find ways to benefit each other. Peace.
You were telling us a little bit about what happens, and you were talking about the financial piece and what you're teaching them, and the public needs to hear it. And tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. So again, every Thursday, that's when they have the academic enrichment class, which is taught by Brother Dewight McKee. He's knowledgeable almost in any academic arena, and so he does sociology, he does philosophy, he does spirituality at a level that they can grasp but still want more. And then every Friday we have what's called a Real Talk Friday session, where we invite public officials, police officers, community activists, the list goes on, to have a real talk with these guys. So we talk about the issues that affect in their day-to-day life, the societal issues, the community issues. So a couple weeks ago, we invited our alderman, the alderman of the 28th Ward, Alderman Jason Irvin, to come. And we had a real talk with him. And quite frankly, the first half of it didn't go well. But he pivoted.
In the era of Trump, that seemed to be the problem. That seemed to be the difficulty of most politicians.
But I think at the end of the day, he wasn't just an ordinary politician in their eyes. Like, they were able to connect on him at a genuine level, and I think vice versa. And so that was a constructive conversation. That's the goal of those Friday sessions. But again, the overall goal is to invest in the whole man, the mind, body, and the spirit. As we alluded to earlier, Jesus is at the center of it.
Dwight, are you making any progress? Do you see any difference? It's been going on now for how many weeks?
9 weeks.
You're 9 weeks into it and you got a little ways to go. Is it going up or is it going down?
It's been remarkable, Lou.
Remarkable.
Remarkable. The first day we started doing interviews, the kids talked with their heads down, looked the other way, almost had an attention deficit disorder. And once you gave them the keys, and once they understood purpose and where they began to fit in the universe, you saw a dramatic change. Dr. Hatch has been doing a thing on manhood, and personal responsibility, and what it means to be a man. We did a thing on rites of passage. We did a thing on economic development, a thing on economy, understanding politics, some of the stuff that you and me used to do in the criminal justice classrooms. And the change has been remarkable also, and a lot of this is, Brother Robert is probably 50% of them now have found the Lord. Many of them have joined church, they've joined New Mount Pilgrim. And it's a fallacy to believe that the community will be redeemed without the people being redeemed. And the father redemption for us was Jesus, is that this is a born again experience. And that comes out of crisis philosophy. You really got to be born again. And so we're literally seeing these guys metamorph into new creatures in Christ. It's a remarkable experience.
Brother Robert?
Well, I wouldn't say it's me. I would say that that Jesus is being modeled through all the leaders that are there. I think from the cook that's preparing the meals to each and every one of the life coaches, Deacon Irvin, Deacon Dowdy, I mean, they're in part of being integral. Because this, we alluded to earlier, this project is only for 6 months. So after the 6 months, we want them to be able to, what we call in the world, keep their head on the swivel, be able to be in the world but not of the world, and understand the difference of that. Some have joined church, but most of all, some have come into the knowledge of Jesus Christ.
Reverend Hacht, where do you want them to go at the end of the 6 months? And you do, and I'm a professor, at the end of the 6 months and you do an evaluation, take a metric of what happened, what do you like to see the outcome be? And then I'm going to ask each of you, after the 6 months, do they go home? I mean, what's next in the plan? Does it end? I mean, so we'll get to that, but where would you like to see it? 6 months over, you have 12 young men in training around not just, the day-to-day secular world, but a spiritual base, and you're trying to mold something here. Where do you want to see them go? What's your success 6 months in?
I think before answering that, we haven't talked about the Ma'afa, right? This
Absolutely.
is a Ma'afa Redemption Project. Ma'afa is, of course, Kiswahili for the Great Disaster, which is a reference to the transatlantic slave trade for centuries. And, of course, its ongoing effects, right, through Jim Crow and the new Jim Crow and mass incarceration. And so what we're dealing with is a diabolical system. And we're basically creating an army, right? There's no better way to fight gun violence in Chicago or to fight poverty or unemployment than to invest in the young men who have the greatest potential, right? So that's our overall goal. So at the end of 6 months, we want to see a spiritual change, of course. We want to see a mentality change. More practically, as Mr. Douglas already mentioned, one young man who didn't have his diploma just received it a couple days ago. 6 young men will be going to Chicago State, hopefully. The others they're interested in the construction trades. And so as we go through each young man after 6 months, they will hand us, the life coaches, 3 to 5 year life plans. These are their short and long-term goals that they intend on carrying out. And even after the 6 months, we will in turn say to them, we'll be there. No matter where else you go, we'll be there.
And so there's going to be follow-ups, right?
Yeah, and we help and expand their options. As we got we got come in tomorrow, Reverend Dave. He's going to offer them jobs when they finish the program. Mm-hmm. The Alderman is committed to giving us a certain amount of houses for us to reconstruct. We're going to develop an economic program for the kids that they can help reconstruct the houses for pay and have some equity interest in that. As we teach them equity, as we teach them how to manage money, we're giving them, like I said, the rules and the tools. Our long-range goal is to turn the community around. Today we talked about land, man, plan, and clan. Is that their ultimate responsibility as a man is to develop a plan for the clan being their families. That economic development is really done through the families.
What can West Garfield Park learn from what you're doing? Are there any plans to incorporate the broader community around New Mount Pilgrim? I know the area, I don't stay very far. I live over in West Garfield Park. You know, but are there plans to incorporate or integrate what you're doing with what's happening in the community where they can feel a part of your success?
Yeah, we're looking to and establishing right now, like you said, we're 9 weeks in, creating a partners network where we work with other community-based organizations and help them build their capacity as they help us with workforce development, partnerships, even housing. Some of the brothers in our program are homeless, and we would like to make sure that after the 6 months, they have a safe, secure residency where they could possibly live for a while until they finish their education.
Tell me, and we're winding down, we're coming up to a break. Tell me some of the feedback that the young men who are in the program are giving you. I mean, what are they thinking about it? Is it helping? Is it, has it made a difference? Do they see maybe a light, maybe at the end of the tunnel or what?
One of the quotes that was developed in Doc's class a few weeks ago, and we actually made it a quote and posted it on the wall, was that you have to fight for self-concept and you have to fight for self-esteem. And that's where it starts with this demographic. They have to know who they are before they can understand their purpose.
We're going to wind down. We're coming up to a break, and then we'll go into our final segment. This is enjoyable, and it gives me energy. We're going to take a break. Beyond the Gun. Be back in a second. Look, at the end of the day, it sounds like what you're doing needs to be duplicated. There are other programs in East Garfield Park, West Garfield Park, doing similar things. However, we probably all need to work together, and it seems like your success, and I feel the energy right now. I mean, your success is going to be great. Tell us, what you have planned for the future. I mean, where do you see it 6 months later? Do we restart the program, or what's happening with that? We don't want this to die, do we?
No, I mean, there's already plans in the works to expand to 3 cohorts at a time. So right now, of course, we're working with 12 guys. They will be the foundation for the others. Some of them already consider themselves, kind of like the 12 disciples. In that,
And that's a magical name.
the goal, the goal is to, turn the world upside down, one person, one man at a time. So yeah, after the 6 months, we're already working on the new application. We're going to do interviews. We are expanding. We'll probably do 3 at a time, so that's 36 young men. And what's unique about our model is that it's residential, and that we live in the Ma'afa house.
The Ma'afa house, that's really important because it has a very existential African spiritual meaning.
Yeah.
And I think one day we're going to shoot a photo. We have a Ma'afa setting in our church.
Yeah, we do.
And I know from talking to you that we planned a broader Ma'afa project. Mm-hmm. And in that project, we're going to talk about Laquan McDonald and others, and Michael Brown, and how they became a part of what we're trying to emphasize.
Well, the Ma'afa is at the core of the Black experience in America. I mean, all of the pain, all of that history is stored up in our DNA. And so the picture you're talking about is in stained glass at New Mount Pilgrim Church. It happens to be the largest iconic display of the Middle Passage in the world. It's of
New York Times did some years ago. New York Times did a story about that, right?
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a man whose torso is the slave ship icon, the Brooks, which was propagated by British abolitionists in the 18th century. And so this project is a direct result of that artwork and of us imagining what we can do to restore, to rebuild not only our community but our city and our country.
Dwight, you're the academician here, and I should give full disclosure. Off and on for more than 10 years, you co-taught multiple courses with me in both the city colleges and at Chicago State. What do you see visionary, long-term, where this goes? I mean, what does this mean for the world? What does this mean for Africans in our neighborhoods? What does it mean for man-woman African relationships?
At a couple of levels, though. It's when we were growing up, they had a commercial on, said once there was an engineer. Choo Choo Charlie was his name, we hear. He had an engine, he sure had fun. He used good and plenty candy to make the engine run. Well, our children are the good and plenty of the criminal justice system. They feed our children in to make that system work. And so one of the things we hope to come out of this is a reversal of misfortune, a reversal of misfortune, is that we're teaching these kids how they can take their lives in their hands and with involvement and sophistication can overturn the criminal justice system that's living off the prerogatives of their ignorance and their lack of involvement. And so we hope to be able to create a different paradigm for the community, for that generation of young people, to see a need to be politically and economically involved. Secondly, we're teaching the value of family. One of the things we dealt with last week is I asked them who ran the world. And with the CIA and the FBI and I explained, I said, no, families run the world. Dynasty means family, not money. And for them to understand that wealth is developed through families. And then lastly is spiritual transformation, is that if you track the abolitionist movement, if you track the civil rights movement, you can track it in direct relationship to the great revivals of the 17th, 18th, 19th century, the great revival in England, the great revival in America.